Hi, I'm Rachel Foss from Hopkins Seed in Buffalo. So we've been using the Encirca suite a little bit with some of our growers, kind of as it's been growing and evolving. Can you tell us a little bit about what is new and different?
Awesome. Yeah, sure thing. Obviously, this time of year, or maybe any time of year, one of the big topics is weather. And we have several tools I'd like to talk to you guys about a little bit today in Encirca to help having field-by-field weather monitoring. So on the side of the screen there, you can see some field outlines. We're here today at John Trout Farms, and what we're looking at is a screenshot of the Encirca mobile app. And what you can see there is 3 different fields of John's, and for each of those fields, you can see precip, GDU, and solar radiation, what's happened since planting on these fields, and how that compares plus or minus to the 10-year average. So for example, on that northeast field there, that pivot, we can see we're about an inch up, a little more than an inch up precip versus the 10-year average, but about 10 or so GDUs below normal and about 5% below normal in solar radiation. We can go a step further, and we can select one of those fields. I'll do the northeast field. And we can go to the weather feature here, and we can get a summary, whatever we want to see. So by default, it's showing us what happened yesterday. So we got an inch of rain here yesterday. We can also switch and get kind of any view we want. So I can say what happened over the previous 2 days. I could even go and look and say, hey, what's the deviation over the last month? So we're normal on precip here, but it's been a little bit cooler than normal over the last month. So that's stuff that's freely available to anybody who has their fields in the Encirca system, and one great way that we can learn more about field-by-field weather. One of the things that I'm most excited about right now is we are going to launch an addition to our Encirca mobile app that will be field imagery. And I think we can see a picture of it here. What that allows us to do is go look field by field at satellite imagery, looking at areas of the field where we have a green and healthy crop canopy compared to areas where we might have some issues in the field, whether that's due to some drown out areas, some late season disease, or nutrient deficiency perhaps. And we can also take any 2 dates satellite images and compare them to one another and see what the change in different parts of the field has been between those 2 dates. So this is something that we're really excited about. This will be freely available to all growers who work with Pioneer and who have the mobile app on their iPhone this summer. We'll launch an Android version of it in about a month from now as well. So that's something we're really excited about, and we'll kind of talk about that probably and do some demos of it in a couple weeks here. Now, another tool that we have here is actually on our Encirca webpage. We call this tool Weather Explorer, and the way we get to that is just from our dashboard. Just go to this Weather Explorer tool from our toolbox selection up here. And once we get to that, we can look at several different things. So the default view is similar to what we saw in the mobile phone app, is we can see precip on these fields. That's what the dark blue bar is, year to date. And then we can also look at what the deviation is compared to last year. Another thing we can do here is we can drill down with quite a bit of precision and look at any given field day by day and look what happened on that field. So for instance, on April 18th here on this farm, it looks like we got about just under an inch of rain on April 14th, 94 hundredths. And you can see that that just keeps going up until today's date where we are. So that's something we could look at across all the fields and kind of get a dynamic view. One of the coolest features, I think, is to be able to do a comparison. And again, all 3 of these tools I've just shown are in the Weather Explorer tool in Encirca. We can pick a field or multiple fields. We can pick this year, and we can actually also, if we so choose, look at the previous year. We could also, if we want, look at the 10-year average and compare to that. And I'm going to look at GDU since it looks like we've been maybe a little bit cool here. And now what I'm seeing in the red line, I'm looking at what last year was. Notice that goes the whole way across the season. And the blue line is showing me this year. And obviously that ends here in mid-July where we are today. So we can see how the GDUs in this case varied on this field from last year to this year and also compared to the 10-year average. One thing that's really cool, let me see if I can get it to work yet. I can pick an area that I'm really interested in, say early June, and I can zoom in to that area and get a really detailed view. So for instance, we can see here that June 10th has been both last year and this year, about 25 GDUs accumulated that day, which is a good bit higher than what the 10-year average has been. And anytime I want to kind of go back here, reset it, we can go back and just reset that zoom. Maybe we're interested in looking at what it was later in the season. And so that's a really cool feature that we have available. And again, both the weather in the mobile app as well as this Weather Explorer tool that we just reviewed are things that are available to any Pioneer customer who has created an Encirca account. There's no other cost per se associated with these things. So encourage folks to check it out and use these tools to really be able to zoom in on and understand differences in weather occurring across your operation.
So Andy, we talked in training today about the precip needs of our corn crop as it nears tassel, talking about a 1/4 inch to a 1/3 of an inch. So how can this help me pinpoint just exactly how we're doing?
Yeah, sure. This is a great tool to do that. Let me switch here from GDU. First thing we can do, Rachel, is actually go and look at evapotranspiration. And so I'm going to turn off the 2016 year here just so we can focus on 2017. And what we can see out to where we are today Actually, let me put the 2016 back so we get the whole year. So here is where we are today. What we're looking at is what the estimated evaporative demand of the crop is. We can see over here on our axis, just like you said, this time of year, that's going to be a quarter, or maybe on a really hot, dry day, up to 1/3 of an inch per day. So we can kind of track what is the daily ET for our crop. Another thing we can do is if we just switch from ET to precip, we can actually look and see what is the precip that we've been receiving on the field day by day, and we can kind of compare that and say, like, over the last couple days here, we've gotten well over an inch of rain over the last 3 or 4 days here. Even if we're using a 1/4 inch per day, we're probably in good shape at this location. But again, we can just kind of take a look at that ET and actually get a measure of what it is, and we can also compare that to what our precip is, just with a couple quick clicks there. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andy.